So what happened with Western foreign policy in the last 2 decades? So it all started off with Iraq. So Iraq, obviously, with the Ba'athist regime, Saddam Hussein, big, strong leader who had a great military, by the way. His military was very advanced, decent technology. They had a lot of good Soviet weapons. They had a lot of their own homegrown, homemade weapons as well. And so the West didn't like him. They liked him at first because he was very useful in fighting Iran. So he failed trying to defeat Iran because that was a war of. That was just divide and conquer, really. So the West was supporting the Islamic Republic, crazy theocratic regime of Iran at the same time as they were supporting Saddam Hussein's Ba'athist, pan-Arab nationalist regime of Saddam Hussein in Iraq. So they were supporting at the same time the Iranians and the Iraqis, and they were making them fight each other. They were arming them both, and they were just saying, right, attack each other. On the phone secretly to Iran, attack them. Meeting Saddam Hussein, attack Iran. They just made Iraq and Iran fight each other. And they weakened them both by doing that. But Iraq, unfortunately, was weakened a lot more than Iran was. And then as they saw Iraq was weakened, they started to support the Kurdish against Saddam Hussein. And then Saddam Hussein started gassing the Kurds. And then he was supposed to give up his chemical weapons and all the rest of it. And then I think he did keep some chemical weapons, but he got rid of most of it anyway. And then what happened? So then Israel felt very threatened by Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was, right, I'm going to get you, Israel. And then Israel was like, oh no, don't get me, Saddam Hussein. And then Saudi Arabia felt especially threatened by Saddam Hussein. And then Kuwait felt most threatened by Saddam Hussein. And then Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait because he saw Kuwait as historically part of Iraq. Because Saddam Hussein was a Republican. He didn't like the monarchies of Kuwait and Saudi Arabia and all the rest of it. So Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. And after Kuwait, he was going to go for Saudi Arabia because he hates monarchies. He wanted a united Arab Republic. He didn't want any monarchies. He wanted all the Arab world to be a united Arab Republic with no Western-backed monarchies. Saddam Hussein wanted to devalue the American dollar, and he wanted to keep all the oil for himself for Iraq, because Saddam Hussein was obsessed with history. Saddam Hussein saw Baghdad as the truth, because Baghdad was the historical capital of multiple different historical successful Arab and Islamic dynasties. Saddam Hussein saw Iraq as the successor as the Babylonians, who were an ancient civilization. Saddam Hussein wanted Iraq to be the powerhouse of the Middle East yet again, and the Americans didn't want that. The Americans saw Iraq and Saddam Hussein as a threat to Israel, and America obviously wanted Saddam Hussein's oil. So that's why they invaded Iraq and toppled Saddam Hussein, leading into his hanging